entrepreneur in my simple head means, I mean, every architect who has his own practice is an entrepreneur to start with, because entrepreneur, in my humble word, means business with risk. So I think every architect who has a practice is taking some risk in some sense, right? And for obviously aspirational growth out of it. So I think every architectural practice or an architect who's starting his own practice is an entrepreneur, but there are definitely different ways of looking at it, and the ways to grow it if you do intend to grow it. I think that's what we'll probably try to get on today. So what I've done is, I think, when you're again, I'm imagining and I'm probably envisioning that the pool of people who are listening to this are the younger architects, or there may be some seasoned architects, but majority would be younger architects. That's my take on it. I may be wrong. So pardon me if I'm kind of offending some senior architects who know what this is anyhow. So I will not. It's probably catering to some younger professionals in our stream. So the idea here is, I think, when an architect wants to find a firm, form a firm and establish a business, the vision statement or mission statement, people may say, or the purpose of the firm, probably we all kind of lose that idea. And we just, usually all the architects I have mentored and helped them grow their business have fundamentally opened the practice with the assumption, I want to do my own, I have 2 projects, I'm going to start my own business. And that's how firms are conceived, which is, in a hypothetical way, it's a great starting point, but the whole journey of the business has not been conceived at time. And as a journey of business means, how do, as a founder, I want to become in the future? And that's why I wrote my first point, to reflect inside what kind of person I am. I truly believe the founder of an architecture firm needs to reflect on himself or herself to understand that what am I as a person and a personality, and hence you can probably project your business way better than that, than just saying, okay, I have 2 projects, I like to do this kind of projects, so I'm going to open a shop. So, and I call it resume 2. I think everybody in the world has a resume 1, which is available to the world, and I am a graduate from so and so, I have so much experience, my high school is this, my this is that. But how am I as a person also should be understand when you start a business. Some people don't like to be social, some people like to work internally, some people are more analytical, some people are more creative, some people are, and if you analyze that data for your own self, I think it'll help you form and curate a successful business as you move forward. So I think that's the first step. When you do want to start a business, you should actually engage into that scenario. And I think the second point I'm writing is don't be too shy on that the vision or the mission statement changes as we grow into the business. I think nothing is static, right? Life is changing. But when you do start, do have a clear idea of that moment, what you're trying to do. I think that helps you understand what you're going into. And obviously, as architects, we always just dwell on the architecture or the projects, but do understand what is the market outside, Do understand your own passion, to understand the market which is outside. Do understand if I have partners who can associate with me to do this business of architecture, I call it. And do also understand that how I want to establish the firm, because firms can be established in different ways. It could be a proprietary firm, a partnership firm, a private limited firm, depending on how you set it up, LLP. Why and do's and don'ts also should be questioned rather than just creating a firm by itself. So I think the vision statement or mission statement and the purpose of the firm should be also thought through. You may be too young, but think about it. Is it a legacy firm? Do you want to grow it to a certain scale? Do you want to be a large firm? Do you want to be a small firm? All that pondering should be done at the early stages, which may change, but at least you have thought through all the parameters of doing business as we move forward. That will help you, even if it changes, help you redirect your vision, because the parameters will change, but the fundamentals will not change. So I think that ideology when you start a firm is very, very critical for all of us. Do dwell on it longer than you think. Just don't jump on it into a business because you have an opportunity of a couple of projects. That is great. That is the starting point. Everybody should have that to start a firm. But do dwell how you want to, kind of move that organization you're building in the coming future at least, and see a vision of how you as a personality of a founder, you think that firm would do as it moves forward. Will it be a very large firm doing multidisciplinary projects? Would it be a boutique firm doing very, very specialized projects? Do you think you will be the principal architect and the other will just be your team helping you out? Or do you think it will be a corporate level architectural setup? Do you think all those questions should be at least not answered, but at least thought through, or at least made a listed at that time? That's why I call it resume too. You should think about you as a personality, how you are, and dwell on it to form a firm rather than just jumping on a firm. And that will help you. The more clarity you build as you go on, you can actually grow into different directions, or grow in a single direction, or grow into different directions and come back to a single direction as you grow older, as I have grown old. So I think that will be a good idea to ponder on as you probably jump into from an architectural practice to business of architecture, or being an entrepreneur in a field. This I think it's also extension of what I already said. It's just bridging the gap from design practice to successful business, because and I wrote a funny analogy in my mind that how a doctor runs a clinic and now he's owning a hospital. That's the change of scene. If you do want to become a scalable practice or a scalable business post that, so that's a big shift of mindset. Usually architecture firms are founder driven, so I think when you grow, and you do intend to grow, not everybody should grow, to be very frank. If you do intend to grow, you have to become, founder becomes, he has to take a back seat. He's the business head, right? And I think the business becomes the front seat, and that's how I wrote it. The idea is that business is way bigger than an individual architect, and if you can perceive or conceive that idea, then only move in that direction. If you think you are the principal architect and you're gonna do what you gotta do to build the practice, then let it be a nice, humble architecture practice. Do not push yourself to become a very large practice or a very big business, or in that sense, it will not help you out, right? I know everybody who's become an architect, and I teach some students in the colleges also, they're all, if you ask them what you're going to do after you graduate, they say, I'm going to open my own practice, right? So everybody is inspired to have their own personal design practice, because the passion of design is very personal, but have not thought through how it's going to do. And then school, to be very, very frank, is probably 5-year degree in architecture is the worst degree from a business perspective. It's the greatest degree from a diversity of learning perspective, but it doesn't teach you anything how to jump into the real world if you do intend to open your own practice. It actually lacks that tremendously. So, but every architect I talk to who's a 3rd year, 4th year, 5th year graduate, student, undergrad student, wants to open up a practice. So I think you also have to mitigate your own passion, your own heart. As one of my bosses used to very nicely say, you get in the business of architecture, business is still the first word. So if you don't believe in what I said, do not intend to become a very large organization, because I think that will not help you. Passion of design is the soul of the business, but as I said, it's still a business. So do not let the grip of, I don't know what's happening, sorry. Do not let the grip of the business go away, especially if you intend to make it a large practice and a design business. And as I call it, you want to get into the business of architecture, which will also make you sometimes think, do not be true to a project. If you like a project, that's not what you want to do. You should like it for the firm, which means it should be profitable, it should be time bound so you can come out of it properly. It should also be a great job. That's why you probably became an architect, but do not let the rundown commercial interest of the project be neglected. And that's in reality of business. We should know them and deal with them on a daily basis. And so be wary of that. It's a shift of it's a real shift of what you've been taught 5 years. If you're a 5-year degree holder or a master's holder, it is to become from an architect to an entrepreneur or a businessman, let's say. You would have to let control go away, right? You would have to let some control go away and assume that the business is a bigger identity than your own identity. I think that's very, very important to dwell on as you're a younger professional, because it's always say, Ajay Gupta and Associates, that's my firm's name. You already started with that idea that it's me and my people, right? So I think it doesn't help in growing the firm the way it should grow. To be very frank, India lacks majority of the architecture practices are practices only. They do not approach the corporate world of architecture or the business world of architecture. But if you look outside India, a little outside India, especially US and Europe too, but US for sure, there's a lot of organized commercial sized firms which the architects, it's not a name of the architect, it's an organization. There may be 10 principal architects and 10 associate principal architects, and there'll be 200 people all contributing to project types. Rather than creating my design philosophy and my people, you have actually created a school of thought rather than an egoistic architecture practice. The school of thought will help you build the business beyond the scale of you and your capacity. It will actually create an organization which thinks similar and then has a design philosophy which is similar, and obviously the business can grow in that direction. And this, and nobody likes, especially in our fraternity, nobody likes to talk money, and I only like to talk money, and I take pride in that I only talk about money, because all my architect friends, when we hang out, do stuff, and it's not cool to talk about money, but it's all cool to talk about how the great building is, how design is, how that is, how my project is. But I think business can only grow when there's a financial governance. So be wary, there's a backbone of a business which has a pure financial governance. To understand financial governance, there's a subject by itself. We can have some Q&A on it if you do desire how that is managed, but be not wary of how money is moving in your practice or your business, and you're overstretching. That constant understanding needs to be brought to the table when you do business. And if you are financially governed properly and you have some financial stability, and I truly believe that your design ideologies are also a little more clearer, because you're not stressed with the idea of how would I run my firm. You're actually doing what you want to do with high passion, and the business, because it's financially governed properly, is running itself somewhere. Otherwise, even you having high talent and high interest in doing great projects, you will be pulled down to manage the practice, because money is tight, money is not governed properly, it's not moving the way it should move. Your brain will be split into dealing with that more than actually doing what you went to school for and opened the business for. So I think that nobody likes the subject of money, but I think everybody wants money and everybody wants to feel secure with money. So I think to identify that is very important. And I'll actually take a small example. I'll not go to the next slide in 1 second. Is like when I said, when you form a business, do look into how you are. So let's say, imagine I'm just a very creative guy and I don't like the idea of business side of it. I do not like the idea of money side of it, or I do not even like the idea of the technical side of architecture. Let's say, I know a lot of my friends are very, very creative, but they like to visualize the architecture rather than do beyond that, right? That they want to kind of change the fabric of architecture, but not deal with the nuisance of business, nuisance of the technology or the technical part of building a building, all that. If you do think you are, but you have to be smart enough to think that I need that also. You should have partners who do that for you and with you. Or so do engage. That's what I'm saying. Do understand yourself way better than you should to start a practice. So if you think you are not good at certain things, do engage people who are good at some things. But usually what happens is when people find partners and they find partners of like-minded people, which means his or her strength and my strength are same. And it's a good idea because you can share thoughts, but you are not filling the gaps of business by having other partners who can think differently than you and probably contribute on the other spectrum of business or other spectrum of operations, which you may not be interested in it. So usually people partner with people who are like-minded and do the same thing, which is great because nobody wants to start a firm alone. It's not a great place sometimes to be a single founder of a firm. But in my opinion, if you do build a team and partnership, do think about that. You need all aspects of the business of architecture. So do engage people who can think differently than you, not only like you. That you should have trust with them. They should be your friends. All that is fine, but exact similar thought process may not help grow the firm the way I would imagine the firm should grow. So those are certain things keep in mind if you're jumping on to start a practice, already have a practice, you want to realign your practice. And that will help you move in the direction where some safety nets are created as you move forward. I think the topic suggested business development and growth strategy. And I think business development is what happens is when you're a young architect, you just carpet bomb everywhere. You just look for work everywhere, which creates noise outside, which you have to filter the noise and get the jobs you think you are capable of doing well, and you would like to do them. So sometimes carpet bombing business development is one of a big waste of time, because it's like filtering from 100 to 10. So if you already have an understanding of what you are good at, what you think you're good at, and the market demands, that's also very important. Just being good at doesn't cut it. You cannot be an architect who says, I like to do high-end residences, I'm good at doing modern structures, now find me the clients. That's a wrong approach. You should also say that there's a demand for, India is growing, Bangalore is becoming richer, there is a demand for high-end residences, hence I want to be an architect who caters to high-end residences, and I think I'll do a good job in it. So the narrative has changed, although I have said the same thing. So just think like that. So your business development approach becomes focused to what is available and what market is growing into and what you like to do. And again, this is also, as an architect, we're a little emotional fraternity, right? So our aspirations sometimes are beyond the financial governance. I'm using financial governance again and again, don't mind me. But I think it's critical that we understand that if you do intend to grow extensively and aggressively immediately, it needs a backbone of money. Because just to give you an example, if you are a 10 people firm, you intend to grow to 50 people firm because you think you'll have enough work, but work will follow. People have to come first. So who will take the load of that business as we grow? So be wary when you grow. There's a huge pressure to grow, financial pressure when you grow, because there will be expenses before income, and that can pull you down a little bit. So be wary of that constantly as you grow. And last statement I'm making is, I don't think growth is great sometimes. Having a level of practice where you start liking what you do, you're in control of what you do, and you think you're financially secured your environment, and sustaining that as a mature practice is a big success by itself. But I think the industry is all about growth, and I think growth sometimes is misleading, and growth also leads you to lose focus, because for growth you may have to go every direction, because I want to become a 200 people firm. You can't be in the same vertical. I can't have only people designing houses. I need to do healthcare. I need to do hospitality. I need to do residential. I need to do office. When you start doing that, that's great, but where's the talent to do that? And you start trying to gather talent outside, and it becomes a tedious process where you really think what you were passionate about and what you wanted to do kind of has taken a backseat, and you are just trying to grow because growth is everybody's, the word is kind of everybody. Are you growing? Yeah, I'm a growing firm. Why you have to grow every day? I mean, if you have a good practice, having a practice and staying with the practice and retiring the practice is a great idea, but nobody talks like that. Everybody thinks it's growth, and it does build pressure, which you may not need. I'm going to go back to the resume too. It does bring pressure, right? Not everybody is set up to take pressure. Be wary of how much pressure you can take. Some people do not like. A lot of people like to sleep at night without taking the load of running a large firm or aggressive firm. Be wary of your own instincts like that. So I think that will help you build the business you would want to build. So these are all non-tangible things, but I think these are way more important than just saying, if you do these 10 things, you'll grow from here to here. If you do these 10 things, your brand will grow. Those are available online. If I put on Google or a ChatGPT, they can give me 10 things how I should grow. That I think is available everywhere to discuss. But at a real level, it's a journey in your own self. The architect becoming an entrepreneur is your own journey about your own self. How much are you learning about your own self? Are you learning about your own self as you do that? If you learn what you are as you grow, you will grow in the right direction. Otherwise, it'll just be a noise from outside telling you, since you've done it, please grow. Now do these 10 things to grow. So I think that's very critical as young professionals, especially to start internalizing what you are and what you can do, and then get into that. Business development, what all we can do, we can have a Q&A on it. I think that's better because everybody can ask, what do you think is the right way of doing that or doing this? But in a generic deck, I think to understand why are we doing that, what the business development is going to do, and if I even how to strategize growth. Again, as the word is strategy, a growth strategy. Sometimes growth strategy, I truly believe, is not to grow but make my margins higher. Why not? We are a country where startups are on your face, right? Everybody is doing a startup who was valued for 1 million, now it's valued for 1 billion, unicorn. So we have so much of noise of India startup, and which are it's very exciting and very nice, but our business doesn't grow like that, to be very frank. And that growth is usually on paper. You're burning somebody else's money. Do you even understand what you're doing? So this is just noises around you, which kind of tells you should grow. Sometimes I think understanding what you can do, having this little slow pace and building that more and more is a way better idea, because growth can also take you up and also be a little destructive if not done properly. Otherwise, if you analyze your own self well enough, growth is a great idea, and actually you'll grow in the right direction to whatever level you think you are right to grow with the right partners around you. I think this is very critical to me. And Kumkum, thank you for changing that slide on the bottom. And the problem with architects is we think if I build a brand, I'll be successful. And the problem is every architecture firm I've dealt with have built brands on their own name, which is great if you want to have a nice boutique practice. But the reality is the brand, if you are the brand, then you are the bottleneck of the business, because everything has to go through you. Every client wants you. Every client wants to talk to you. I don't want anybody. I want Ajay Gupta and Associates, so Ajay Gupta should come talk to me. The problem is that's a challenge you will all face as you grow. Do I shift gears and make the firm a brand and not me as a brand? And then the environment around you will kind of force you to make you the brand. Every conference you give, like the lecture I'm giving, it says Ajay Gupta, right? So it's me. It's not the company's name, right? It's any conference you attend, anywhere you give lectures, any papers you write, kind of ties back to your name. But the real game changer will be when you can create an institution where the institution becomes a brand, right? You could have partners, you could have colleagues who are also knowledge based and sharing knowledge in the market, in the fraternity. So it seems like you are not the only person. This group of people come together to live an ideology of architecture, and then their ideology is like this. Hence, they are a successful practice. So, as I always say, my business should run. If I've gone to Bahamas for a month, nothing should change, right? I mean, it should run without me. The whole idea of any business is to run without the principal, if that's possible. Although by default, architecture practice is run by the architect whose name is on the board, and that change is not easy. So everybody should think how to do that. It sounds easier than said, but it is possible. And India doesn't have that much, but universally, I said, there's firms listed below. There may be names, but nobody knows the names anymore, right? So like HOK is 3 people, but I'm asking anybody here can't tell me who the 3 HOKs are or DLR, because that name has diluted, the firm has taken over. So finally, the idea would be, if you do intend to stretch your practice and make a growth-driven business out of it, as I call it, then that step would have to happen. Very, very limited firms in India have gone that direction, I think, but time has come that it will happen more and more. And I hope a few of us who intend to do that, I'm not saying that's the only way, but do intend to do that, have an opportunity to do that. But do take baby steps in that space and then learn how you do that. The last slide I didn't, there's a risk, right? I mean, I think the risk is up to individuals, right? Everybody has a risk appetite. Everybody has a different risk appetite. And that also brings back to your resume too. Think about it. How much risk can you take? Everybody has to take risk in business. If you start, even if you're just starting a simple practice, you've already taken the risk of managing your household with this practice without knowing what the income is. So the more risk you can take, maybe the more benefits you can get, but be wary that risk also comes with the baggage of downfall, especially if you are up for higher risk and you are not equipped. Take external help to manage monies, because money can be very, very badly managed when the risks are high, right? So even if you are not the right person, do have somebody with you as a mentor, as a colleague, as a partner, as a consultant, whosoever you think, who can help you organize your financial governance beyond that. And then risk can be a little more fun than typically taking risk because of a passion only, right? So then it's calculated risk, the way I see it. So I think that's a great way of taking risk. I think I'm done with that.